want to just quickly mention a few things before I forget. So have you checked my announcement yesterday? Okay, great. So you already know about your midterm exam, right? So your midterm is next week, next Thursday, October 9th, the same time. But because I realized this room is a bit small to have like an exam with proper spacing, and so I reserved another room. So you hate me now, right? So we couldn't reserve a room in the same building, unfortunately. But the registrar's office told me that they tried to find the nearest one, which is in I think CLH. I wrote it in the spreadsheet that I attached into my announcement. So half of you will take your exam there, half of you here. Please check which room you're assigned to and take your exam in that room. Also, please bring a piece of photo ID with you, otherwise you are not allowed to do the exam. And that's it. And the exam covers the first 4 modules. It will be easy, just introduction, ER modeling, normalization, and whatever we covered before SQL. Okay. And it's a paper-based exam, so you are not going to use ERD plus and things like that. You will have about 60 minutes. And that's it. Do you have any questions about the midterm? Yep. Yep. Yeah. So as long as we can see your photo, it's fine. And what else? Yeah, that's it. Was there anything in my announcement? I really feel I'm getting old. I forget everything. So that was about your midterm. Oh, in SQL installation. How many of you have already did the SQL setup? So just want to get an idea. Okay, good. For those of you who didn't raise your hand, how many of you just wanted to do it in class today? So I should assume that the rest of you just don't want to do this SQL setup, but you have to, okay? So you need to practice with that, even if you don't want to practice in class. You have to follow the instructions. I give you several options. You can install it locally on your computer. You can use cloud services. So in this class, I cover how to do the setup with Azure. So if you go with that part of the guide, then I can, because we cannot have like enough time to go with different setups in class. So I can quickly help you to create account on Microsoft Azure for free. I always do it in my class because I want to make sure that the students follow the correct instructions and they are using the free service. They are not paying anything. So that's why I do that. And then for connection to your database, you can use many tools. So you can use, for example, Azure Data Studio, which I don't recommend anymore, even though it is included in installation. Because in the Microsoft website, I provided also the links in the e-class. They are already retired, or they will retire soon, and it is recommended. So they recommended using VS Code with MS SQL extension. So let me actually show you, because this is important. So this is e-class SQL. Okay, now here under the SQL setup, you can find all the relevant files. So I wanted to read this one, in which I provided the installation for, the instruction. So you can see the instruction if you want to install SQL, whether you have Windows or Mac. And then I explain the cloud services using Azure. Of course, there are other cloud services as well. You're welcome to use them. But in this class, I'm explaining this one. So if you see, you first have to create Azure free account or sign up Azure for students. for me, because I wasn't a student and I wanted to use the free service, I went with that link. For you, as long as you use your York email address, you can go with this one, which is great. And it's more than enough for this class. And it gives you credit, and you don't have to pay anything. I repeat, you don't have to pay. So let's say I go with this link, okay? So you can do it with me now. Let's open it in the new link, new tab. Okay, so you click on start free. Now, because I don't have a student email, I can't do this, okay? But for you, you have to enter your email address and then continue the same way as I do here. So this, you will see the same thing. So I really feel like enter like these uh, duo codes 100 times per day. Okay, so when you go to Azure portal, so first let me get some information. How many of you would like to go with the local installation? So you don't want to use any cloud services, you want the SQL on your, okay, just a few of you. How many of you would like to use Azure cloud services? Okay, so in this case, uh, you can just follow my instructions. So you go here, you can see in the top left, you have create a resource, right? So you just click here and then search for SQL database. What are we doing here? We just want to create your SQL database on Azure servers, right? So you have two options. You can use your own computer as a server, or you can use any other cloud server, which we are using Azure here. Now, you can see several softwares here. So we go with SQL database. Now here, you have to, if you have the option to select free because you're in your student account, might be different from me, please select that one. If not, continue with create. Now here, this is very important, and no matter how many times I say this, I still see students have errors because they do not accept offer here. So you see this price here, $400, shouldn't be, because you have to accept the offer, okay? As soon as you apply the offer, this price will go down, okay? So I don't know because I've already used it, accept or not, but for you, it should, yeah, it will be go to $0, right? So you have to make sure this price is 0. So I already explained it also in the installation guide. So these are all the steps we go to create a new SQL database. And here I showed how it should be $0. I actually updated this file to include the screenshot of also apply offer. I will upload it on eClass. It seems it's not updated yet. Anyway, go back here. Now, we just have to provide some details here. So for example, I'm not, because I already created my SQL database, I'm not going to create another one. Just want to show you what you have to do here. So in the resource group, so you can go like create new. You can use any name that you like, okay? For example, I use ECS3421. And then for database name, you can use again ECS3421, underline your name or whatever name that you like. And server, again the same, you do create new. For server name, it just all have to be lowercase, and you will get error if you use anything that is not allowed. So it's like password. You can see what you actually have to do. Then in the compute and storage, you go here, configure database. Okay. And actually, we don't want to like this is okay. And that's it. Yeah. So after you did that, you have to make sure that this price is $0, right? That you already accepted the offer. This is $0. You also have to select a name for your database, for your server, and then you can click review plus create, right? Let me see if it can allow me to actually do this now. Let's say 3, 4, 2, 1. You see, now I see that this is like valid database name. And for server name, you can use, for example, this, I guess. Compute plus storage. We don't need to do anything. So again, carefully read these things. We don't want any additional charges, right? You just keep this one checked and review and create. So yeah, this is good. Now we can create. So it may take like a few minutes here, just a couple of minutes for the deployment, right? And then after it is done, you just have to go to the networking, which I will show you, and do just adding your IP there. You may need it anytime that you change you're using, for example, a new computer or change your location. So that's okay. You'll get an error for the IP, and then I show you how to add the IP. So this takes a few seconds. Are you doing this now with me? How many of you are actually following this? Okay, great. Should we wait? Okay, yeah. Now, so I go here so that you can see everything. So this is the new database that we created, right? This is the new SQL database. This is, for example, these are the previous ones that I created before. Now, let's go here. Now here you can find all the information such as the server name and other information. The one that matters for you is this one, because let's say you install Azure Data Studio, VS Code, or any other software that you'd like to use to connect your database, right? You have to install something on your computer so that you can connect to your SQL Server. Now, whatever that software is, it is going to ask you to provide your server name and database information so that it can allow you to connect. That's why you need to know where to find your server name. So then you can copy it, and then I'll show you where to use it. And another thing I wanted to show you, when you click on your server name, right? You see here networking. You click on show networking settings here, and then this is where you can actually add your IP, right? So you just click here, add your IP. So this is adding the IP here, and then click save, and then we are good. Okay. Now we already created our database on the SQL server on Azure servers, right? Now, as I mentioned, I'm going to use, so in this guide, because I created it in winter, and at the time, Microsoft was still like, the Azure was not retired yet. Sorry, the Azure Data Studio was not retired yet. So I could still use it. And then as soon as I found this, where is my eClass? Okay, let me download this. First. How can I do that? Where am I? Okay, let's go to eClass. So I want to show you everything. Okay. Okay. So here, so Azure Data Studio documentation. I think it is somewhere here that explains uh, it is going to retire. So maybe this one. I think it's this one. Yeah, what's happening to Azure Data Studio? So this is officially retires on February 2026. Not yet, but starting summer term, I suggested my students, especially those who want to continue using the service, I suggested not to install Azure Data Studio and instead use VS Code or other software. So here, they suggested using SQL, using Visual Studio, right? And I also recommend it because you can use it for other programming, right? And then you don't have like extra installation if you already have that on your computer, which was the case for me. The only thing that you have to do is install the MS SQL extension. So I already asked to do it here. So let's check. I'm going to Visual Studio, right? Yeah. So here, okay, now that we created our database on the cloud, we want a tool to connect to it, right? Because this is not on your computer. You want to like be able to access your database on your computer. How can we do that? Let's say we use VS Code, right? Now using VS Code, you have to install the right extension. So here, we go to the extensions. Now this one already has MS SQL. If not, you just go like MS SQL, right? And then install, or maybe they didn't. You just install this extension, okay? And then you're good, okay? So you can use this for writing, for example, your SQL queries. There are also several other good tools here for like working with your databases. One of them is SQL tools. So you can also install this one if you want. I think this one allows you provide more functionalities regarding to the design part as well, like the ER modeling. But for like the queries, you mainly only need this one and use this one. Now, if you go like this, not actually no. I don't know. Okay, so I don't want this now. Back to the guide. So we just want that you don't get confused with the guide. Now, we already did all these steps, right? We created a resource, created the database, and we made sure that this is a free trial. We provided the database name, resource group, server name, and I already explained, provided some sample names here for you. And then please make sure that you remember your password because you need it every time that you want to connect it to your database. So, or save it just somewhere safe. And then yeah, then allowing your IP address, which I already explained, right? You just go to the home page, select your database, go to the server name, click on the server, right? And then you go to the networking the same way as I did, right? So here you go to your server name, right? Networking, and then I add the IP address here. This is how you add, which we did. So let's close the extra tabs here. And next, yeah, this one was already checked when I was adding the IP. If not, please check it. This option just simply says that it allows Azure services to access this server, right? Because, for example, if you, for example, install VS Code, Azure Data Studio, or whatever tools, you want to connect to this server. And so when we add this IP, we want to also allow those services to use this. Connect to your database using SQL client. Now, this is the SQL client that I explained before, Azure Data Studio, which is explained here, that is retired on February, will be retired on February 26th. So I recommended using VS Code. So should the instruction be different? No, the exact same instructions. You download VS Code instead of this, then open it, click new connection, and then provide your server name, authentication, user password, that's it. And we will do this in this class several times. So every time I want to do hands-on on SQL, you will see that I have to enter my server name and everything, and then click connect. And that's it. This is also how to connect using SSMS. If you are Windows user and have SSMS, I highly recommend using this. The good thing with SSMS is that it provides a lot of functionalities. Like, for example, at some point in your project, you have to create database diagrams. Database diagram is different from relational schema, okay? So first, you create your ER model, right? Then you convert your ER model to relational schema, which for that, we could use ERD plus in the past, and now you have to create it from scratch using ERD plus, right? So up to that, we are covered. Then the next step in your project is like creating your tables and then inserting data into your tables, providing some sample data. And at some point, I ask you to provide database diagrams. This is where, for example, you go and provide, do some integrity controls that I'm going to explain today. And the good thing with SSMS is that it provides those functionalities for you. So in using SSMS, you can automatically create database diagram. This functionality is not provided in Azure Data Studio, is not provided in VS Code using only MS SQL extension, unless you have SQL tools that I explained. Now, with SQL tools, I didn't use it, but I read somewhere that it actually also provides like those database diagrams and everything. But if not, I'll tell you how to do that. And what else? Yeah, so this is about the installation. So I'm going to the slides. First, finish the topic and DDL. I want to make sure that we finish this today. And then if we have time, you can do the setup in the class and I will help you with that. Otherwise, I can still help you in the office hours. Don't worry. So how many of you have already done the setup? You did? For those of you who didn't do it, I highly recommend to do it now. This is a good, like in most classes, at least with my experience, no one, like at least most instructors didn't cover installation. So it was always like you have to do it by yourself. And then many students, including myself, I always had like some exceptional errors with installation. And that's why I make sure to cover that in my class. So if you have some errors, some problems, we can help to resolve it together. Otherwise, you have to figure it out later. And so I recommend it to use this opportunity now. Then you can ask me if you have any problem. Where is my telephone? Yeah. Now, creating tables. I skipped the like these syntaxes because we are going to have hands-on and you will learn better. But just as a review, these are the syntax for creating tables on SQL. You just write create tables followed by your table name, and then you open a parenthesis, you just list your all the columns in your tables, followed by the type, for example, create table student, and then a student ID, followed by its type, let's say integer, right? If it is primary key, you can identify just next to it, and then go to the next line, next column, right? And for example, a student name. What could be the type for a student name? Yeah, varchar. Is it varchar or varchar? Varchar. Oh my god. So at first I said I was saying this varchar in my classes, and then um, I I I think I checked on Google, and it's pronounced like varchar. And anyways, I switched to varchar. So I have to train my brain again to switch back to varchar. Are you sure? Is it varchar? Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. It for me, yeah, varchar. Okay, let's do varchar. So you can use, for example, for a student name, you can use varchar. Why? Because it's variable character length, right? And then you can specify the max length of the character that you think you need for a student name, followed by other columns and their data types. And at the end, what should we do for table definition? Good morning. What should we do for the table definition? At the end, so you write create table, you list your columns with their data types, and then yes, primary key, thank you, foreign key, right? You can specify primary key either at the end or just right in front of the column that is primary key. For foreign keys, you just write foreign key column name, right? References, table, column, because you have to specify this column that is your foreign key is referencing which table and which column in that table. And so these are the examples, for example, for creating the table product, table customer, and table order and order line. These two tables have foreign keys. That's why we specified them here. And yeah, don't also forget these commas here and then the semicolon at the end. These are just some notes. For entering data into your SQL tables, this is the syntax. Insert into table name. So for example, insert into student, right? And then you can specify the column, or you can skip that. So even if you don't provide like these columns, as long as you provide the values in order, that's fine. So this is the complete version. Insert into, for example, products table. Then you have like these 3 columns and you insert 3 values. You have to be careful with the data types. For instance, here you can see that for product code and product description, we use quotation. This is because these 2 columns have the data type, for example, char or varchar, char, and unit price, which was integer numeric, right, which is not actually string, so you don't need these quotations. And then these are the rest. Can we insert into like several rows at once into one table? Yes, we can, right? Then I'll show you how to do that as well. So you just list those other values in the parentheses after this. Then what else? Using a string with quotation, using numbers directly, using this for the date format. So this is for the date format. And you may use simplified insert statement to omit the column list and insert multiple rows. This is what I actually explained. And okay, the insert is subject to integrity control and constraints. For example, you should enter products and customers first, then orders and order line. So this is something very important that I'm going to explain later today. So when you're going to create your tables or insert data into your tables or even drop your tables, you cannot do it in any order that you like. Say you have like these 4 columns, these 4 tables, product, order, order line, and customer. Can you create tables in any order that you want? For example, is it okay if you create the customer table first and then order line? Does it matter? Or for example, you start with order line and then go into the other columns. Does it matter? Yes. Yeah. So for the tables that have foreign keys, what does foreign key mean? Referencing or linking to another table, right? So for example, let's say your order table has a foreign key, right? Now, what is the foreign key in order table? Cheat. What is the foreign key in order table? It's here, customer ID, right? Why? It's referencing the customer ID in the customer table because customer and order was connected to each other. Now, should I create the order table first or the customer? I mean, which one should be before the other one? Yep. So we have to first create customer, right? Because if we start with creating the order table, which has a foreign key, and let's say we have not created the customer table yet, then our order table is referencing somewhere that is not created yet, right? So if you first create your, let's say we have customer and order, right? This is your customer table. Let's say customer ID, name, and so on. And this is your, let's say, order table with order ID, date, etc., and then customer. Now, what is the primary key here in the customer table? Customer ID, right? This is the primary key. Do we have any foreign key in the current customer table in your slide? No, we don't have any foreign key. And this is your customer, right? These are in terms of their entities, and this is order. Right? One customer can place many orders, let's say one or more orders, or if your assumption is 0 order or more, and then one order belongs to one and only one customer. Now, so we have customer ID here, which is the primary key, and order ID here, primary key. Now, we don't have like having at least a customer table in your slide. It doesn't have, as you see, it doesn't have any foreign keys. So the only column we have is customer ID, name, and password, and so on. And here we should add the foreign key to the many side, right? So we learned that. So we have to add the customer ID to the order table. Now, so I told you I'm getting old. What was I explaining? I just forgot. My memory is like a fish. So, foreign keys. So I was explaining with the foreign keys. So if you are, for example, creating the order table first, right? You cannot, because this column, right? This is actually your foreign key referencing the customer table, which doesn't exist yet. So you have to start here. Always start with the tables that do not have any foreign keys, right? And then create the ones with the foreign keys. And that is why here we first created product and customers, and then we created order and order line. Now, between order and order line, why did I create order first? Because order line also references order, right? We have this foreign key here, order number, referencing the order table. And that's that easy. So that's what I mean by integrity control. When I say the insert is subject to integrity control, this is the same for when you are inserting data into your table. You follow the same order as when you did with the create table. Now, What if you want to alter your table structure? And be careful, altering table structure, as I mentioned before, is different from updating your table, right? What is the difference? Yes. Yeah, update is a DML uh, command, not DDL. DML is data manipulation language. Now, with DDL or data definition language, the changes applies to the structure of your table and doesn't do anything with the data in your tables, right? So when you want to update a value in your table, it means you want to like change the data, right? You want to update data in your table. So the change is not related to the structure. For changing the structure of the table, like for example, if you want to add a column, if you want to change the date type of a column and so on, you use alter, right? How do you do that? You just write alter table. So these are the keywords, and then followed by the table name, and add your, for example, here we are adding this column, and sometimes you want to change a column. For example, you want to alter this column, change its data type, for example, to varchar 80. And this one, alter table. This time you want to delete a column. So you already have a column. Again, alter table, drop column, right? So the first one, adding a new column. The second one, just changing a column data type. The third one is just removing a column. Now this one is adding a constraint. So we can also define constraints on your table. For example, even a foreign key is a type of constraint. Um, for this class, you only need to know like the check constraint and foreign key, okay? So for instance, you want to alter table person, and in your person table, you want to make sure that the column, for example, age doesn't accept any values less than 18, because maybe the content is for over 18 years. Maybe there are like table with, for example, for you have some movies you want to show for people above certain age, or if you have a table that you want to accept only this number. So for whatever constraints similar to this that you have, you can use check. Okay, so you just type alter table name, add constraint, and followed by your constraint name. So this is just any name that you like. Check, for example, person age, check age, or anything. Followed by check. So the pink ones are your keywords. And then you just write what is your actual constraint. Here, age greater than or equal to 18. Now the last one, again adding a constraint to a table product. Now this time the constraint is the foreign key. So we add constraint this foreign key product type. This will be useful when you have not created your foreign keys, when you create a table first. For any reason you want to add it later. Okay, so you don't want to like drop table, create table again, and then add foreign keys, right? In the table definition, you can just write it in one line, add constraint to the existing table, add a foreign. And deleting a table from database. Now, this one, drop. When you drop a table, you just type, this is the syntax, easy. Drop table, table name. Now, there is a big difference between dropping a table and deleting a table, similar to alter and update. So dropping a table is a DDL command, which is about the structure of your tables, right? Which means you remove the table completely. When we delete a table, do we still have foreign keys, primary keys, indexes, and so on? If we delete a table, delete. If we delete a table, yes, it just deletes. But if we drop a table, it's about the whole structure. It means that you don't have anything there anymore, right? So it removes everything, the columns, indexes, keys, everything. So you have nothing left. Now, to drop tables, drop also is subject to integrity control, similar to insert and create. Now, let's say I have a question now. Now, given these four tables, product, customer, order, and order line, if you want to delete like these tables, which one should you start first if you want to drop them? Which table will you drop first? Yes. Sorry. The one with no foreign keys? Okay, let's do that. So now you will delete the customer table. Now, yes, is that correct? Is there any issue here? Yes, we have an issue here. Yeah, yeah. Now we have a foreign key that is not referencing anywhere. So when you're dropping tables, the order is opposite of creating and inserting data into it, right? So this time you start with tables that have foreign keys, right? Because you want to get rid of like those tables with the links, right? With the foreign keys, and then dropping the tables with no foreign keys. Because if we drop the order table first, then the customer table doesn't have any issue, right? It doesn't have any foreign key referencing nowhere. And so these are just here I provided some slides for just providing more visualization on when you want to, for example, connect to your SQL Server. If you are using Azure Data Studio, now you see this. This is same in, for example, VS Code. And let me show you. So here, when you click here, SQL Server, so after you added the MS SQL extension to your VS Code to Visual Studio, then you have this option for SQL Server, right? So if you click on it, then you see, for example, these uh, options where you can add a connection, right? So let's say, for example, we add a connection. So as soon as once you add a connection for the like the next ones, it will be much easier because then you'll have to just provide the user password and so on, I guess. So, so this is where I actually told you it's important. Now I want to show you. So see this see this interface. Now see your slide. So it's almost the same, right? I just made the color there, the background is black, but the setting is the same. So Azure Data Studio wants you to provide the server name, username, password, authentication type, your database name, and so on. And so whatever other tools that you use to connect to your database, right? Because no matter what the name of the tool is, they have to ask you to provide the server name because they want to know where they have to connect to. So here the same. You have to provide the server name. Where can I find my server name? Azure, right? Go here. Where is my other? Let me here. Maybe. No. Where can I see everything on Windows? What should I? What's it? Uh, So this is only this one and this one. Maybe I closed them before. Okay, anyway, let's see here. Yeah, I closed it. Azure portal. I cannot leave this. I have to log in again. Ah, I really remember I had it here. It was open. Oh, no. Is that really necessary every time? Okay, back here. I want to actually connect here. Here. So go to the database that you created here, and then copy your server name, right? And then go back here. Now paste your server name here, and then you have to also identify the authentication type. Should be SQL login. Okay, so this should be SQL login, and then username and password. I think I forgot my password. So this is my username. I hope this is my password. I think I saved it somewhere. Oh. Are you following the instructions with me? Yes? Hmm. In my previous classes, I received so many questions. So I am not really sure what is happening here. Either you are like too smart or you're not even following me. I am not sure. So when no one asking any question in your class, it's very scary. It's like no one really understood what you said, so you are really bad in teaching. Yeah. Thanks for your question. What is that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, if you wanna like we were talking about if you want to drop the tables, right? So if you wanna like drop the tables, then you have to first drop this one first, right? Because if you drop the customer first, then you have a table like order having a column with a foreign key that is referencing nowhere. So of course you can always alter a column, right? So if this table doesn't have a foreign key, so if you have already removed that column, so there is no issue, right? But if at the time that you are removing this, there is any other table referencing this table, then there will be a problem. I said we have to drop order first. Yeah. No, we are. This is okay. Yeah, yeah. I understand what you say. So if you just wanna like get rid of like the foreign key, you can do that. You can alter table, and then you can also then remove that table. That's another option. But let's say you want to like remove three tables. Okay, you have four tables, you want to remove three. Which one you have to start first? The one with the front. So that was the whole point. No, you have to just get it. In that case, if you don't want to remove the customer table at all, then you get rid of the foreign key, right? You don't delete that. No, I said if you want to drop these tables. So if I want to draw both tables, which one we have to start first, right? But if you don't want to drop both, right, and you only want to like drop, for example, customer, you have to take care of like that foreign key, right, because it's referencing nowhere. So password, let me check my password. That was a good question. And if I think, so maybe I should consider some bonus for good questions to increase engagement. Okay, so let's check my password for the database. I forget that. Yeah, okay, I found it. And then for like all the ones that have like this red star, you have to provide that information. The rest is just optional, right? And then click connect. So now you can see here like this green, a small green light here, which actually shows that you're connected. If you're not connected, it shows like a red either circle or cross. Yeah. So with Microsoft Azure, I provided instructions on eClass, so you can find all the step-by-step instructions here. This is the installation guide, right? So the installation guide provide instructions for several cases. For example, if you want to install SQL locally on your computer and you don't want to use any cloud services, then it depends whether you have like Windows or Mac, right? Depends on your OS. These are the guidelines, for example, for Windows users, and then these are the guidelines for Mac users. And then I explained some like cloud services, like for example, Azure here. And the reason I explained this in my class, because I want to make sure that the students are using the free service, right? And I want to like show them that they can use, for example, you can use your student account, your student email address to get free access to Azure. And then here are the links. So you can go with Azure for students. In very rare cases, and I've never figured out why, maybe in the past 1 year, only like a couple of students told me they couldn't create account using their York email address, and then you can of course use this free account, which I do because I also don't have a student account, right? In any case, when you click here, I explained how to create a new resource. So you just go, for example, here. I don't want to log in again. I already have this here. So you go to home page, right? Create a new resource. And then I explained what are the informations and select the SQL database here. And that's it. Here, you select the SQL database, right? You create the new resource, right? And now here, you have to make sure to apply the offer. Otherwise, the price is $400, right? So we want to apply this offer to make sure that this price will come to zero, right? And then you just provide the information here, database name, whatever name you like, server name, again, what you like, but should be all, for example, lowercase. And then you just, let's say, plus review and create, right? I didn't provide like this information now, that's why it failed. But then you create, and we don't have time to do it now. After you created your database, so were you already in the class where I explained this part, or you missed it? Okay, so after, so you just click create a resource and then provide those information, click on create, right? After you and make sure that the price is $0. After you created that, and you can do it now if you had any problem, I can help you after class. And then you just go to your database. Let's say, for example, where was mine? For example, let's say this one, right? And then you use your server name, right? You copy your server name here, and then you provide it on your VS Code, Azure Studio, or whatever tools that you're using, SSMS, SSMS also has the same interface. You have to enter the same information. Now, you can see that now I'm connected to my SQL server, right? Uh, and now you can see the list of your databases here. So for example, I created these databases, DB1 and 1225 with you. And why do I see this database here? Because when I created this database this morning, when I created this database today, this is the example I created today, right? On the server name, I didn't enter a new name. I just used the same server, right? So I'm creating different databases under the same server. Yeah. Now, for example, this is the old one where I have all my tables and everything. So I'm just using this one for today's session. So it may take like just a few seconds sometimes, or more, or even more. Okay, this is getting very slow. How many seconds should we wait for it? Okay, sometimes it's really long. Anyways, it should be okay. Shows you the tables, views, and everything, right? So now, for example, these are the tables that I created before, and I'm going to show you how to create them now. Now, in order for me to be able to show you how to create these tables, right, I have to remove them first. Which table should I remove first? Do I have the product here as well? Oh, great. These are another examples. Actually, I can't create the table. I have the course employee enrollment instructor example, so this is great. So if you want to create also these tables, I provided the instruction here. So so this is just the explanation. Somewhere I provided, I remember that I provided the, this is Azure SQL, maybe on the land. I don't remember where I provided that. Yeah, practice. Okay. Oh, thank you. Create tables, a student registration, a staff org. So these two examples are the ones I usually create from scratch in my classes. And it's because you already have the instruction for creating the customer product or the order line in your slides. So I do something different here. So one example is the student enrollment, the very simplified version which we use in this class. And the reason I always create these tables because we started everything with this example, right? For example, creating ER model for a student registration, then relational schema. And now we want to see, for example, how we can actually create those tables after we build our ER model. So for that, I just show you because we don't have much time. And I think we need one more session as a hands-on for this. But just let me show you how you can actually drop your tables and then you're good to go. And please, for next session, which is Tuesday, please have your SQL server set up, installed, so whatever you want to use, if it is a cloud service or anything, so that we can have like hands-on together. Now here, if you go to your database, right here, sorry, my eyes. Now, click on new query. This is where you can write your queries to create tables, drop tables, or anything. And then you can just drop table, right? Okay, so you can see the name of my tables here, right? For example, I have the instructor, I have enrollment, course, and everything. Now, if I want to delete all the tables in my student registration, which table should I start first? So these are the tables that we have. We have a student, we have course, we have enrollment, and we have instructor. Now, enrollment for sure has foreign key, right? Because enrollment is a composite entity or intermediary table. So it is connected to the course and the student and has two foreign keys. So this table we know should be created after a student and course, right? So we should either start from this, or this. Now, out of these three tables, depends on your design. Depending on your design, you may start from, for example, a student or instructor or anything. So, for example, if I have a student here and I have course here, and I also have enrollment, which is the composite entity, right? Now, so this is the last, and then we have also instructor here. Now, instructor in my design may, for example, be connected to a student and maybe also to the course, right? So let's say it's, for example, also connected to the student. If we consider, not the instructor is not the best word, maybe prof, advisor, something like that. So we can say, okay, each advisor advise, for example, one or more students, and then each student should be advised, for example, only by one advisor or professor. So in this case, the foreign key should be added to the student, right? And then if we assume that each instructor teach multiple courses, but each course should be taught by only one instructor, then we have a foreign key on the course as well, which is the instructor ID. So the table that I create first is the instructor table. And then we go to the, for example, after that, can I go to the student or course? Which one first? Does it matter if I create a student first or course first after instructor? Doesn't matter. If I create a student first, it's fine because we already created the instructor. The same here because course is also only is connected here, and then we already created the instructor, so we are fine with creating the course. So I can go instructor student course or instructor course student, and then at the end creating enrollment. Now I want to drop the table. Which one drop first? Enrollment, the one with the most foreign keys. So I'm going just to remove this table, and then I'm not sure in my design if this was applied, but let's see. So let's first drop this because I don't remember. Now, if everything is okay, you see that it is executed, right? And now I'm going to drop, let's say, a student. Otherwise, we will get an error, and that's fine. It's fine because we already dropped. So there was no, I think, connection here, or maybe was. Okay, so I drop instructor now. I want to see if it is connected to the course or not. If it is connected, we may get an error. Yes, we get. Okay, this is what I wanted to show. So if you are going to drop instructor before course, this is the error you get. Cannot drop instructor because it is referenced by a foreign key constraint. Because we are trying to drop instructor, whereas in the course table, we have a foreign key, instructor ID. So now what do? I drop course first, right? And then drop instructor. And we should be fine. Yes? So now we dropped all the tables. We create them next session. Okay? Do you have any questions? No questions? Yes.